Mauricio Sulaiman has came out and declared Cambosis as undisputed. This is why I have no love for this sport. This is why I don't respect it. I love the sweet science. I love the art of boxing. But as far as boxing as a sport, I don't like it. I don't respect it. I don't take it serious. It's nothing to me. That's why I tell people not to invest so much of their self into this sport, because it's just a lying, cheating ass, deceiving ass sport. Mauricio Sulaiman contradicts himself so much that it's gotten to the point where he now knows that people kind of accept that he's going to contradict himself, and he can always talk his way out of his last talking point, even if it's the opposite of what he has said previously before. Cambosis is not undisputed, just like Lomachenko was not going to be undisputed, just like Teofimo Lopez was not undisputed. I used to champion Teofimo Lopez as his claims to being undisputed. But after a while, I just had to give in to the facts of what is. And, Lopez is a fighter that I liked. So I would have loved nothing more than to give him the undisputed title, because how I looked at it, it wasn't Lopez's fault, because Mauricio Sulaiman and the rest of the boxing world allowed Vasily Lomachenko to duck Devin Haney without any complaints. This is where this shit comes in at. And I felt that it's not Lopez's fault that Lomachenko ducked Devin Haney. Okay? So I was like, the kid's undisputed in my eyes, especially if you're looking at Devin Haney being a champion and he didn't fight for that belt. A lot of people didn't want to hear that. A lot of people didn't like it. And I'll still say to this day that that's not fair. But I even chucked that off the window. I said, you know what? It don't matter what the fuck I feel. All that matters at the end of the day is that Devin Haney has that belt. So regardless of what I want to feel, Devin Haney still has that belt. So I went ahead and I gave in. I was like, yeah, he's not undisputed. Fuck it. He's not. Because a lot of people, this is the thing that I didn't like about the whole situation with Lopez. People only question the undisputed status. People only question it when Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko. I'll say it and I'll say it again. If Lomachenko would have won that fight, there would have been nobody saying anything about Lomachenko not being undisputed. This is the games that we play inside of boxing. Okay. Now, with Mauricio Sulaiman talking about franchise champion is a destination, not a belt. Now it's a belt, not a destination. Now it's a destination and a belt. Once again, these are the problems with boxing. Okay. Let's be honest here. The franchise champion is in existence to allow certain fighters to duck certain fighters and to keep certain fighters at a certain level at all times. I should not have to go very deep into what I mean by certain fighters, okay? Because what I've also figured out is the boxing fans are a lot more intelligent than what y'all claim to be. A lot of boxing fans play dumb at their leisure when it benefits them, and then they become smart when it benefits them. We all know that he never should have been allowed to do that. And with Mauricio Sulaiman doing his flip-flopping and contradiction, okay, it gives weight to people out here claiming that there seems to be in boxing this whole little movement to not fight certain undefeated black fighters. Okay? He now makes that no longer a rumor, no longer a myth. It's a fact. Just look at all the people who hold the title of franchise champion. How much do you want to guarantee we will never see a black fighter with the title of franchise champion? I mean, we all know this, but You know, the only people who don't like you saying it is people who enjoy these kind of advantages and enjoy seeing certain boxers at a disadvantage at all times because they have some personal issues. See, in boxing, people bring a lot of their personal issues into it. That's why you can't have certain conversations with people, because it's really not about boxing when they're speaking. It's about something else. Well, Mauricio Sulaiman gives weight to all that shit. And that's really what it's about. And I've been on Devin Haney's head. You know, I'm not particularly a Devin Haney fan. But it got to a point where I couldn't deny what I see was being done to him. Okay? Lomachenko avoided Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez avoided Devin Haney. Now Kambosos, who we can obviously tell doesn't want to fight Devin Haney, will also do the same. I had hoped that Kambosos was different. All right? But as soon as he got them belts, same shit. Now all of a sudden, Devin Haney has to be impressive. Okay? And that's the other problem with boxing. How come people only enjoy skill sets in the sweet science when it's a certain fighter? But if other fighters use, boxing skill, it's boring and they need to be exciting. Boxing can't make its mind up. See, if you're too technical, then you're boring. Okay? We want to see knockouts. Tank Davis and Wilder gave them knockouts, still had criticism. They can't make up their mind. They'll tell you I don't like certain fighters because of their attitude, the way they talk, the money that they flaunt. Then you get people like Andre Ward, who's humble, God-fearing, and doesn't even cuss, and they still have a problem with him. People like dirty fighting when Chino Maidana is hitting Floyd in the nuts. But if they think Andre Ward is doing it, he's a dirty fighter. These are things that you should be able to bring up, and we should be able to have conversations about it without people talking about they're getting turned off. The people who say they're getting turned off are those people who play dumb and smart at their leisure, because if you dislike dirty fighting, you should dislike dirty fighting, period. If you dislike the sweet science of what they would call running, you should like it when any fighter is doing it. But boxing is so fucked up, biased, and it's so much racism in boxing that it couldn't possibly be fair or even competitive because it's not built off of that. Okay? Boxing is built off of who they think will be better representation as a champion, who will bring in more money. Okay? What do I mean by this? What was Bob Arum's number one problem with the UFC? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Let me tell you why Bob Arum hates the UFC so much. And you can go look this up. No, I order you to go look this up, because just like then and just like now, me just saying this alone, there's going to be some people who say, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not true. Blase split. You know what I'm saying? You know that we're always going to have those. But those are the people who know this shit is a fact, but playing dumb benefits them and their favorite fighter, whatever, whatnot. Bob Arum dislikes Dana White in the UFC because he said, and I quote, they are taking all the white fans from boxing. Bob Arum wasn't concerned about Chinese fans, black fans, Arab fans, any other kind of fans. He was concerned with one demographic. One. Okay? Now, if you look at why he put so much importance on that, then you can understand why the whole franchise championship is into play. And let's not just put it on boxing. This is in sports, period. Because low key, the UFC tried the exact same thing. Okay? How did the UFC try the exact same thing? Who was the two people that they forced to try to make stars on the UFC? Does anybody know that one? It was Paige Van Zant and Sage Northcutt. Second question, why? Why? because they fit the age-old prototype blonde-haired, blue-eye scenario, which they believes brings in more fans in boxing. This is why you can't quite figure out the whole Jake Paul thing. The Jake Paul thing is a little bit bigger than him just being a YouTuber. You know? Now, right now, I already know I done got way too deep for about 70% of y'all listening. You know? Way too deep. But these are the things that affects combat sports. Unfortunately, because they believe having these people as champions is good marketing. Let's face it. They believe it's good marketing. In Hollywood, they have doubts of a minority cast. They don't believe movies will do well unless you have Caucasian representation. Unfortunately, these are just the facts. These are the things that people don't want to say, afraid to say, or know that exist, but they need this cover to maintain their narrative, you know? And all this plays into why franchise champion exists. Keep in mind, I'm not a Devin Haney fan, you know? But I can't deny what Devin Haney is doing and what I see being done to him. So this is what I have to say about franchise champion in WBC. The WBC belt should be looked at as a trash belt. After we get these little undisputeds out of the way, the WBC belt should be thrown in the trash. Period. By boxing fans, period. Because it's too much bullshit that comes with it. And to add insult to injury, why is the WBC belt such a belt that everybody wants? Who made that belt high in demand? Who? Do you know? Muhammad Ali. If it wasn't for Ali, nobody would give a fuck about that belt, and that belt would not have the prestige that it has today. That's a super fact. So being that this belt was made famous by somebody who, if existed today, would be treated like Devin Haney, is all the more reason why there should be no respect for this belt. Okay? But like all things in life, when you tell too much truth, you are going to have a fucking problem, and people are not going to like you, other than acknowledging, I may not like what you're saying, but I do recognize that it is true. And this is why I do not take the sport seriously anymore. This is why I'm tongue-in-cheek with the sport. This is why I really don't care anymore. As boxing moves further and further along, I loosen up my grip more and more and more and more. And I treat it like it's comedy. I treat it like it's WWF. I treat it like it's a staged little show. I don't take it serious no more. If we happen to get a good fight, all right. If we don't, all right. I can't demand this of this anymore. But Cambodia should have to fight Devin Haney. You know? But I also didn't want Devin Haney to take that belt in the first place either. You know? But, you know, this is just how it is, and this is just where we at. You know what I'm saying? And I accept it for what it is, and that's boxing. You know? So, people want to know my opinion on it. That's my opinion on it. It may not be what you wanted to hear, but it's 100% truth. So, whether they have undisputed or not, I don't care. I don't care about belts anymore. I don't. Caring about belts is what bring this shit into play. I care about seeing who I feel is a good matchup and who I feel are good fighters fighting. You know, because after all this shit, I'm done with seeing an undisputed. I don't care about undisputed. I don't care about no sanctioning belt. I don't care about none of that. I just care about seeing the fights that I want to see. Since they just care about doing what they want to do, I just care about seeing what I want to see. You know? And the most powerful thing that you can do when it comes to boxing, there's two things that everybody respects in this world to get shits moving. All right? That's money and blood. Okay? If you can't draw one of those two, then nothing you say or do is going to mean anything. You got to hit them where it hurts. People respect money and violence at the end of the day. That's what gets shit done in this world, whether you want to believe it or not. So that's my thoughts on Mauricio Sulaiman, the franchise champion. It is what the fuck it is. It's a sad situation, but it's fucking boxing. It's a reason why this sport is at the bottom. You know? All right, I'm out.